Hi, everyone. It's Mitch from sportschatplace.com, pickdogs.com, here with our Mondays with Mitch segment that we've been doing during the stoppage in sports. Of course, we are live 7 days a week, 365 days a year. No excuses, just free picks. So that's what we've been doing for the last 13 years. This is the first time that I'm broadcasting this show on my regular Facebook channel. So I get a lot of questions from a lot of my friends. What exactly do you do? You'll see some of it here, but generally the way that our early morning show works is I'm here with at least two other guys, Rod Zawacki and Chris Ruffalo. At least that's the way it's been for the last few months, and we call them the Puck Dogs. They're both from Canada, and they're both probably not going to win any fitness contest anytime soon. But when it comes to picking hockey and sports games, these guys are two of the best in the business. And that's pretty much what we do on our live show every single day. Is we give out tons of free picks, and just like what we do. People ask me what I do for a living. I have two websites, sportschatplace.com and pickdogs.com. And we give out sports information and free picks every single day. That's basically what we do. We give out thousands and thousands of free picks every month, and every year is 16,000 free picks, maybe even more than that. So we kind of didn't invent giving out free picks, and we certainly didn't invent sports handicapping, but we kind of took what everybody else was doing, and we just did it better than they did. We came up with a lot of our own new innovations as well. So during the stoppage, we've continued to do the show, but on Mondays, I just come out here by myself and give the other guys a break. And it's kind of like yesterday. I think they looked like they had enough, to be honest with you. I think they tapped out about 10 minutes into the show, so which is fine. And it wasn't that fun of a show. And to be honest with you, having the shows with no picks haven't been nearly as fun either. But the Monday with Mitch segments, we kind of get away from the sports world a little bit. I just take viewer questions, as well as I talk about how we do this as a business, how we work online as a business, and how I started my online business. Exactly, kind of whatever questions are out there. Everything is open game except for religion and politics. So we kind of just fire away. I know in our Facebook group, in our Pick Dogs Facebook group, several people left questions, and I'm going to go over those questions in as we go into the show, and from there, well, we'll see what happens. But hopefully, everyone's having a great day, and we will, we're all in this together. Just watching some interesting stuff on TV this morning. Most of you guys know when it comes to politics, religion, anything like that. I don't have a hell of a lot to say because it's way outside anything that I understand or know. Like I always say, you could put, 20 politicians in a room of 30 people, and I'll still probably get most of them wrong. I don't follow it, and it's not something that I think that, while we all have a vote, I'm not 100% convinced that that's an area where we can always make a difference. I just think that we can make a difference in our own way and what we do each day and our own actions, and we can only hope that, the way that we carry ourselves and the way that we treat other people and treat things in general, that will carry itself in and kind of help everything else takes care of itself. As far as who's the president, who did this and who didn't do this and who did whatever, certainly not going to convince anyone that my opinions are right or wrong in a Facebook post. That's for damn sure. So I'm not going to waste anybody's time. I'm certainly not going to talk about it. And I don't, like I said, I don't really care that much because we've had our business through Democrat, Republican. It really doesn't matter all that much. Believe me. I never seem to get the better end of it from any of them. It's like these guys cater to this people, and by the time these people are in, I'm in a different set of people. So it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really matter. It's not something that I follow. But I just wanted to start the show off by answering a couple of the questions that were in the Facebook group about. Nothing is off limits except for religion and politics on these shows. And those of you who are joining late, I just want to let you guys know that, this is a show that I do 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And generally, we give out tons of picks. Generally, the puck dogs, Rod Zawacki and Chris Ruffalo, are with me. Steve Monahan is with me pretty often as well, at least recently. And we'll see how that goes. We also do another live show every day for our good buddy Charles over at Spread Knowledge, where we kind of prove if his software works or not. And what we found out before the stoppage was that his software was kicking some major ass, and we did really well with Spread Knowledge software. But we're also going to be adding another show, and one of the things that I've been talking about a lot is what I've been doing during the time off, because over the last 13 years, I haven't had a day off, not one day. I've traveled, but even people who I've met, and old friends and stuff like that who have met up with me when we've traveled, you guys know I've worked the same, just even no matter where I've been. And those of you who've watched my live shows over the year, we've done it from everywhere. We've done it from the hospital. We've done it from Target. We've done it from Costco. We've had we even got the samples, is it organic? Is it not? It's like, certainly doesn't taste like it. It's like, we did it all. We've done it all on these shows over the years. But, that's all, that having time off like we have now is something that's totally foreign to me. I don't get weekends off. I don't get, days off. I don't get any of that stuff. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week, definitely running the websites that we run. Sports Chat Place gets about 3 million viewers a month, or 3 million readers a month. Pick Dogs, just the YouTube channel that we started only 4 or 5 months ago, the Pick Dogs YouTube channel. Pick Dogs is a much newer site. Sports Chat Place is 13 years old. Pick Dogs is 6 months old. So we started the Pick Dogs YouTube channel about 6 months ago, and it still gets about 1.7 million views a month is where we were when we left off. So it was really, really heading to being something special. And I believe once things resume, it will get there once again. And we became quickly, Pick Dogs was the #1 YouTube channel in sports handicapping. And that happened, like I said, within the first 4 to 6 months that we were up. Absolutely. I think that when I go to Vegas and I bet, there's a question from Charlie M. Can you talk about your experience in Vegas playing cards, blackjack, poker, etc.? Absolutely. I think when I go to Vegas, I used to play poker, and I don't play much poker anymore. The only time I play poker now is, I got to say, it's like, I don't know when I do. What kind of, if I'm by myself and really have nothing to do for several hours. And that's rare. Like I said, I work all the time. So it's rare that I have that kind of time anymore to play poker the way that I used to. The issue I have with poker is the game is so slow moving. The winnings are so small in comparison to what you can win at some of the other games, because at the end of the day, that's gambling. I think what we do is sports betting. It's definitely gambling. There's no, I'm not going to sit here and say sports betting is a game of skill and anything like that. I'm just saying that I like our chances in sports betting a lot better than I like in some of these other. I think our odds are a lot better because I just think we're better at that game than most of the people out there. And regardless of what game you're playing against the house, or you're playing against the public. I think sports betting, you're more playing against the public, while in these games you're playing against the house, and the house is it's stacked. So playing like blackjack, when I play blackjack, I play the press method. Like I'll start with $25 a hand. If I win that hand, my next bet is $35. The next bet's $45, $55, $65, $75, until I lose a hand. And when I lose a hand, then I'm back down to the $25. Even if I split and double and do any of those things, it's always I just increase it $10. I never bet like a ton playing blackjack. The other game I play mostly is craps in Vegas. And once again, I play it like a drunken sailor. I pretty much just go for the big wins. That's what I do. If I'll play the pass line and full doing, and it's like then it hits, and it's like they see how much you get paid, and I think it's $1,200 and something. It's what it pays every time. So that's what I do in Vegas. I play it. anytime I'm playing in Vegas and casino games and things like that, I'm always swinging for the fences. And I think most people know that even in sports betting, I didn't become popular in sports betting by, picking the big favorites all the time. You know, I became popular in sports betting because I swing for the fences every single time up. Um, no one, who is the all time hits leader in baseball is Pete Rose, right? It's like, the all time home run leaders. We all know those guys. It's like Pete Rose, Ty Cobb, and then who is there after that? When it comes to hits. When it comes to home runs, we all know Babe Ruth and Henry Aaron, and it's like, what's who leads baseball in hits? Every year, no one knows. But who leads in home runs? And same thing. Who leads in strikeouts? Who cares? You're gonna strike out a lot if you swing for the fences. It happens, but it's like as long as you outscore your opponent, you're going to win. And that's how I approach it in everything. And in Vegas, where you're up against the house and you're up against those house odds, playing it safe. One thing you don't want to do in those Vegas games is to play conservatively and to play, not to lose, because that's what the house wants you to do. They want you, the longer they can keep you at the game and at the table, the more the odds are in their favor. So it's like, if you're just swinging for the fences, people are like, I want to stay, I want my money to last. Yeah, you know how you get your money to last in Vegas? You win a lot of it. I've done these videos, over the years in the Facebook group and, on YouTube, and people have seen where I've taken $150 and turned it into 18,000. It's like, that doesn't happen by playing not to lose and playing conservatively. You've seen the bets that I made, started with $150. We played a 21-point money line underdog in college football that won outright, right? So that paid 10-1. So we were at $1,500 there. We took the $1,500. We bet it all on another game, and then we took that money. We bet it on other things. Then we started playing craps. Then we took that money, all that money we bet, and then we took it all and bet it on Miami against Notre Dame. We had like 9,000 something that we were up to at that point, and we bet it all on that game. And of course, Miami starched them. But so I think in Vegas, the way to do it is to have your money that you're going to play and swing for the fences. Obviously, the worst odds and the biggest payouts are the slots. I don't play a ton of slots, but I don't say I don't play any slots. I play a ton. I never play for comps or think about, like, I give them the card and everything like that. If I'm at the table and they ask me, hey, do you want a card or whatever? It doesn't hurt you or help you to have the card. They're just tracking your play. Who cares? It's like, to get them to not ask you to do the card again, it's almost worth it to do it. But I'll tell you what, I'd way rather bet $200 on one hand or one roll of the dice than I would sit there for 2 hours and try and win money that way and milking my $200, because it can't be done. I mean, you might be able to do it here and there, but over the long haul, that strategy will not work. You absolutely have to swing for the fences. And blackjack is a place that's tough to do that. Craps is easier to do it. Poker, it's nearly impossible to do it, because you need to have the cards and you need to be at the right table. And there's a lot of guys that play poker professionally now. A lot of people. So you got to, you're going to be up against a professional trying to win. Do you recommend playing money line or the spread? This depends on the game and what the spread is and what the money line is. So it's all, to me, about value betting when it comes to things like this. How much value am I going to get? It's all right. Everyone has heard that expression, risk reward, right? It's like, how much is the reward based on the risk, right? It's like, if I'm going to have to risk a lot to win a little, it's a tough way to make a living. Because, say, for instance, a team is like a heavy favorite. Like, say the Patriots are playing, I don't know, the Patriots are playing, who's the worst team in the NFL? Who's drafting first? It's the Bengals, right? So say the Patriots are playing the Bengals, and the money line is minus 400 or $450 it probably would be in a game like that. So that means you have to bet $450 to win $100 on the Patriots. If by some reason the Bengals win, and I have to say that in professional sports, every guy in the league, in any professional sport, can play. There's no scrubs in the NFL, the NBA, the NHL. There are guys that aren't as good as other players, but there's no scrubs. And every player in the NFL and the NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, those guys at a lot of points throughout their careers before they got to the pro ranks were the best guy or one of the best guys on their team and have been the guys that have carried a team on one game or a series of games or a season or something like that. So they certainly have the capability to do that. So taking that kind of risk of having to bet a lot of money to win a little money, even if it seems like a sure thing, right, is a really, really bad idea. So I think in that sort of scenario, what I like to do is if I have an underdog that I think has a chance to win, and I think this happens a lot because the public loves favorites. The public loves favorites and the public loves overs, okay? They love them. So you have to think that Vegas always adjusts the lines in the other direction. So, when you take an underdog and you take an underdog with points, you're already, before they even flip the coin, you're winning, right? And then the other thing, so it's up to them to catch you. And then the other side of it is when you're doing money line, it's like if I hit the other side of that, say I hit the Bengals at plus 450 against the Patriots, I have to lose four and a half games, and then I'm even. So all I have to do is win one. So it's like betting money line dogs is where it's at. If you can, even if you don't want to reach, you never want to reach and go outside. But it's like, especially in a sport like baseball, we're the very, very best teams in baseball. There's 162 games in a normal baseball season. Of course, this season we don't know how many games there are going to be in a baseball season, but normally there's 162 games in a baseball season. The very best teams lose 62 times a year. They win 100. So, when you have a team like the Boston Red Sox last year that were minus 200 plus favorites almost every single time out, and they just got bludgeoned, right? Like Chris Sale just got crushed last year. Very, very good opportunities to make a lot of money. And then you had teams like the Twins that nobody could buy into, right? Small market, nobody wants any part of that, right? So it was like tons of value. To me, when you're betting money lines and underdogs, small market, always the way to go. Carolina Panthers, right? These are the teams that kind of fly under the radar. Of course, in the NFL, there are going to be less of them. In baseball, there seems to be a good amount of them because there's so many teams that are just these big. There's no salary cap, so these big market teams, New York, right? The Mets and the Yankees, the Cubs, the Red Sox. These are the popular teams. That can pour money into their team. The Braves, right? That pour a lot of money, but even those teams lose 60 times a year. They win 100. They're only 40 games over 500. If you're, quick math, if you're betting, if you need to bet 200 to win 100 on average on a team, and they go 162, it's 100 games. Even if they go 110 and 52, it doesn't get it done. You'd still lose money, even though they won 50 games over 500. You would still lose money. So you have to really go, with the money line dogs in baseball. But you have to be prepared to lose a lot of games. If you bet money line dogs in baseball, you might only hit 48, 49% of your games. You might even hit a little less than that. But you still could end up with plus money because you're getting plus odds on the bet. I love that question. Thanks. I don't understand what you mean by smart money. Like smart money. When I do my picks, everybody has their own way of handicapping. A lot of us use similar systems, but everybody has their own twist that they put on it. Some people are way more conservative than I am. I know that. Some people also only have like a certain amount of games that they'll bet. I'm not that person. But this to me, the smart money is wherever I'm betting. To be modest, right? The smart money to me is wherever I'm betting. So it's not really like where I'm at on that. I seen a lot of money in dogs with outright in college football. Yeah, you see it all the time. You see it all the time. In college sports, the home field advantage, uh, the home field advantage in college sports is so big, and it's so underestimated. I think in college football, particularly, where people see these great teams that are on top, but how many times has Nick Saban run the table and won the national championship at Alabama? Once. Right? He's been there. He's won all these national championships. He's done this. He's run the table and won the national championship one time. He's won more national championships than that, but he's only run the table once. That was the year they beat Notre Dame in the national championship game. Outside of that, they've always had at least one loss. So definitely big favorites lose all the time. Not all the time, but at least every week there are several that lose. I'm not saying 20-plus pointers lose every week, but definitely some big dogs lose every week. And some big favorites lose every week. Absolutely. You guys know I'm here 365 days a year, 7 days a week, regardless where I'm at. And it's this is the first time that I'm actually doing it on my regular Facebook channel. I'm not even sure if it's working or not, but I put it out there as well because we're doing Mondays with Mitch. Normally during the regular week, I still have the Puck Dogs on and Steve Monahan is on with us, but on Mondays we're doing Mondays with Mitch just during the stoppage. Of course, once play begins, once games start, we're going to go back to our regular show. But I figure with the Mondays with Mitch segment, I'll do it on Facebook as well. Of course, we're live 7 days a week, 365 days a year at this time. Of course, we're on all of our YouTube channels, Twitter, Periscope, and Facebook every single day. We have 3 shows a day. One of the things I've been talking about a lot is I'm building out my studio, and I'm really excited about that. So, of course, I start off the studio, and it's going to be something that it's like, well, I'll just start with the beginner plan, and it's like I'll have a studio because I do the show every day, and I do all of these different things. But at the same time, it's like I still want the studio to be really, really good. So, I started the studio at one budget, and of course, by now the budget's tripled. And I'm really, really excited. It's just taking a little while to build it. I knew that it would, and like I said, I've never had time off like this before to really do something like this. So, I have 3 sets that we're building inside the studio. So, if you planned on visiting us, one of our guest bedrooms is totally gone at this point. So, it is what it is. If you have kids or whatever, they're going to be sleeping in the living room or camping out. We got plenty of room around here, but one of the guest bedrooms is totally gone now because I have 3 sets in there, a lot of lights, cameras, all kinds of stuff going on. I'll give a tour of the studio probably at the end of next week, or maybe not next Monday's Monday with Mitch, but the following. I don't think we'll have games starting like that. Games starting before that. However many fit my formula. Thank you. I think if the seasons are canceled, I think they will. I think if you bet baseball futures for this season and they don't play 162 games, they're going to have to as well. They'll just start over again. I absolutely think that we're going to see all of those things. I'm an optimist, and I'm going to say that I hope that we see all of those things. I hope that we see baseball, NFL, college football. I hope we see even more than that, It's like I hope we see NHL as well. I don't think so. I honestly don't agree with this. So those of you who've been watching the show for a long time, you guys know that right when this thing happened, I wrote that letter to the commissioner, Adam Silver of the NBA, basically proposing the scenario that they're going through now of having it in a single place. I, of course, selected here to have the NBA because we already have the Maui Invitational, but it is only one venue. But we have tons of open hotels and vacation rentals and things like that where they could house the players, and I just thought it was a logical fit. But I think like having it in Vegas or even a smaller place than that, where they have plenty of room to accommodate the players and their families and everybody else that's part of the organization, I don't see why they can't have it as long as there's testing. I think as soon as we have a cure, we will. I have to say that while I avoid the religion and politics on this show, I saw this whole financial aid thing. I find really really disturbing the way that they've done it. They have the I saw this morning on one of the stock market shows. The CEO of Shake Shack talking about basically what a saint he is because he gave back the $10 million that they gave him. And I think it begs the question is, why did he apply for it in the first place if he didn't need it? And I just think that is part of the problem. And it's like, of course, Shake Shack went public and they have a direct relationship with JP Morgan. So while they got their 10 million, I know people in my Facebook group and Facebook friends and people that I just know in general, I don't know anybody that's gotten much of this support money at all, especially in the business side. The people that would really need it, not Shake Shack, a 1.7 billion market cap company with full market liquidity of stock and investors and everything else, tons of places to go for money. Why they would need to take that 10 million out of the hands of the people that really need it, and then come on CNBC and act like you've done something great by giving the money back. Number one, it's not your fault that you got the money in the first place. Obviously you're trying to take advantage of the system. There really is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But anyways, we got a few more questions in the Facebook group that we had. That people had left in there. But someone has just spammed our Facebook group. Way crappy. Am I not logged in? It's weird. Anyways. I have to figure that out. But anyways, hope everyone is having a great day. And just going through our Mondays with Mitch segment and just answering questions. And I went into the Facebook group to answer some questions, and sure enough, we got a couple spammers in there. So we're going to have to basically boot those people from the group. I don't know why they would post that in there. But anyways, let's look at a couple questions that they had in our Mondays with Mitch in our Facebook group. The first question is from Danny Mahaffey. I'd love to hear about the evolution of you surfing. Like, where have you been, what boards you like, and your golf game, like tips on chipping, ball striking. I don't think I'm qualified to give tips on on golf or surfing, but I started surfing here, and the Hawaiians taught me how to surf, which is they're great people and great surfers. And if they get a little bit of a bad rap sometimes about the tourists, but I think if you treat the island with respect, the sport with respect, and treat them with respect, then you're going to get it back. And they gave me a gift teaching me how to surf, and I love it. I'm not a professional surfer by any stretch of the imagination, but I could certainly hang with anybody out there. Let's see. What are the sweatiest plays you've made? Oh man, I've had a lot of them. Like when I think what he means, what Sean's saying is the sweatiest plays you've made. I think he's asking the games that I've really had to sweat out the most. And LSU Alabama a few years ago was actually one of those games. Jalen Hurts eventually ran it in for a touchdown. I think the final score was like 7-0 or something. It might have been 14-0, and Alabama I think was a 7-point favorite or 6.5. They were like a 6.5-point favorite. And it was just such a tight game. And that really was one that I sweated out. I really sweated out. A lot of games, it's like you just lose, or win, and, you kind of accept it. But that was one where it's just, I had to sweat it out all the way to the end. It's really the one that kind of sticks out to me recently. Let's see what we got. Next question is, tell us about your experience with stocks. As a bettor, I like risk and potential aspect of stocks, and I'd like to know the role stocks played in your journey to success. I think actually, analyzing stocks and looking at stocks and things like that, I don't think any of that helped me with sports. I honestly don't. I think what it did do for me, working with stocks, is that I know that you don't want to mess around with the stock market. It's not something that it's not a toy. It's not a bet in the same way that you're betting on sports. And in a lot of ways it is, because there's definitely risk there. And there's certainly the same amount of deception by people who claim to be experts and all kinds of stuff like that. But the guys who are really good at it, like the guys that some of the guys that I used to work with, who are really, really good at it. It's like, basically, when you're buying and selling stocks, you're on the opposite side of the transaction of another person. And it's like sports betting, when they're moving the lines and stuff, because there's a certain amount of bets on one side or the other. So it's very, very similar in that respect, in that, for every bet you're making on one team, for the line to remain the same in that game, there has to be bets on the other side, equal dollar amounts, right, or around in that area. And if it becomes skewed one way or the other, then the line moves, just like a stock price, right, what people are willing to pay and what people are willing to sell for. Now, the thing is that the guys who do that in the stock market, are really, really good at it. And it's like, so you don't want to be on the opposite side of their trades. You just don't want to do it. So it's like, unless that's something that you do professionally, I would stay the hell out of there. It's a good way to lose a lot of money. By the time you hear any kind of news about these stocks or anything, it's way too late. I can tell you that for certainty. It's way, way too late. The coronavirus thing was something a little different, that you had a chance to short this market probably pretty early, and it was pretty well known that it was going to tank. But a lot of people didn't believe it, and so a lot of people didn't do it. But it was certainly, that's one of the rarest occasions that you'll ever see where you'll have a chance to play the market on almost a level playing field with the pros. But most of the time, you don't want to be in the stock market and play against those guys. And I'll tell you what, on the other side of it, we invite those guys to come and be on the other side of our sports bets any day of the week. You stock market guys want to come over and bet sports with us? Come on. we welcome you any day of the week. But I feel the same way about, I'm not going to go in and play their game against them. You want to bet a little college football with us or some hoops, welcome. You're more than welcome to come play with us. But anyways, let's see what else we got here. I've spoken a lot and shown you've spoken a lot and shown us a lot of your start and success in life in gambling. Do you take the same time to see your team be as financially successful? So here's where we're at, and this is a good question. I wish I was able to show it on the board, but basically what he's saying is like, as I've grown as a company, am I taking care of my people as well? And I would say that everybody that works for me, and you could ask the guys tomorrow, even the guys that haven't been with me for that long, everybody that works for me makes more money today than the day they started working with me. Every single person. I don't know how it's going to look through, depending on how long this all goes. And I'm doing the best to make sure that everybody remains, paid and all that kind of good stuff. I'm doing the best that I can. But I think that everybody that works with me makes significantly more than they did when they started. And, here's Shane. He works with us, so he's commenting. And Shane's worked for other sites, so I'm not his first site he's ever worked with us. But he makes more with us than he did, when he started, and he makes more than, he did at his other sites. And that to me is all part of it. Obviously I put the most time into it. I take all the risk. I come up with most of the ideas. I'd say all the ideas. So, naturally I see the biggest rewards. I've also been doing it the longest. I would say that everybody else, I've promised that there would be more opportunities to make more money as we go along, and I have delivered on that, and it's going to continue. As a lot of you guys know, I was been in a lawsuit for the last year, and everything with Sports Chat, and I can't get very deep into it, but that kind of did put everything on hold for a while, and my hands were tied for a long time there. But we got Sports Chat back on February 12th. Not the best timing in the world, with a month, before the whole Corona thing. But at least we got it back, and I don't know if we would have gotten it back if it was after, all this Corona stuff. It's everybody has different roles as well. So people are like, I kind of do everything, while some guys just write, some guys just do social media, some guys do, like Steve Monahan and Rod, they only come on and do the show, while Chris writes, 400 articles a month, or 300 articles a month, or 200 articles a month. And Randy writes 600 articles a month. It's everyone has a different role in a different place, but as we continue to grow, of course, the guys that are with me, there's going to be more and more and more and more opportunities, and we're already discussing that. And most of the guys, the next step for them is that they'll become premium handicappers in our new premium area that was set to be released, for March Madness, but will be released as soon as things start going up again. So let's see. What's our next one? Curious to know what happened with Sports Chat Experts. I had a subscription a few months ago and I couldn't even log on to the site. Well, you should have been contacted by the people at Picks and Parlays because they own that site now. So I got Sports Chat Place back. I did not get I got Sports Chat Experts, the URL, but I did not get the back end of it or any of the customers or any money that was made by that site or anything. I only got the URL back. So that's why the site is down. But if you have a problem with Sports Chat Experts, by all means, contact support at picksandparlays.net. And I don't know why they wouldn't reach out and contact you, to be honest, and let you know if you had a subscription with them where you could get your either a refund or I would demand a refund at this point if it was me. But that's just me. Of course, you're free to do whatever you like. But support at picksandparlays.net. Aaron Jensen, Mitch, I would like to know what you do with your money. Sports Chat investors. What do I do with my money? The number one thing that I do with my money is I put it back into these sites. So running a site like Sports Chat Place and Pick Dogs is the costs are over $1 million a year, easily, well over $1 million a year. So a good portion of my money, that's just to keep it running. So a good portion of my money goes back into the sites, into running the sites. The other things I do is I every year, and those of you that have been with me since college football plays, 13 years ago, you guys know that every year, every few months, every time, we're always trying new and different things. I'm the innovator in this business. I didn't invent sports handicapping. I didn't invent picking games. I just took what everybody else was doing and I made it better, and I, put new twists on it and came up with new ways to do it. And that's all we've done here. And, all that stuff takes money, so that's where a lot of my money goes to. As far as my own personal stuff, I am invested in the stock market, like a lot of other people talked about here. The way that I invest in the stock market now, I just invest in mutual funds. Those guys are professionals, and they run, these giant funds. So like I'm in, the same stuff that you guys buy, could buy. It's I wouldn't call it ultra conservative, but I would call it somewhat. To me, it's the closest thing that I do. That's to a bank account, and that's being in equities, which is considered the most riskiest of the mainstream investments. I'm in equity, so I have S&P 500, the spider, right, that covers the S&P 500. I invest in those. I have large cap value funds. Same people that you guys use, Vanguard and PIMCO and whatever, right? Same thing, same stuff. And then my other money, I'm invested in private equity. So that's like guys who have like startup companies. If you have like a certain dollar amount that you have, or that you're worth, or something like that, then you're an accredited investor. I think the term is stupid. Accredited investor. It doesn't mean you know more about investing than anybody else. It just means that you have enough money that if this thing went belly up, that you wouldn't be out on the street. That's really all that it means. And it's basically I'm invested in companies before they go public into the stock market. So like what you guys would call a startup company. I'm invested in some of those, but not directly. There's only one of those companies that I'm directly invested in, but I'm also invested in it through private equity funds is what they're called, where you work with a private equity money manager and they invest in the various different companies within that. So like I'm in, one of them that's like they're invested in 10 different companies. And then I'm in another one where they're going to be in 10 different companies, but right now they're only in like 6 of them. So, they ask for money usually at the worst time. Right? It's like, they know that, it's like, it's not, I'm sure it's a horrible thing to have to do, especially times like now. And then, other ones, same thing, where you invest maybe a few more, a few less. And, it's all basically that. It's usually people that have a really good idea. And I get presented with that stuff all the time. And I don't do a ton of them, to be honest. It's not really my thing. I would rather bet on myself, and that's why I put most of the money back into the company. And that's really what I do. So, let's see. I would like to know what kind of software you used to be able to have all 4 guys on at once, and what you use to broadcast stream all the social media platforms. So like I said, our show is on Twitch. It could be on Twitch. It's not on Twitch, but it's on Twitter, Periscope. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook Live. We also do Instagram and stuff. But I use Restream to broadcast across the multiple social media things, and I have a Mac. This computer is a Mac, so I use something called Ecamm, and you guys know I've done Ecamm. They gave me like a hoodie and stuff. I did an endorsement for them, and I wasn't a paid endorsement. I just really like the product. I think it's easy. I think when you're doing broadcasting and live shows, and especially when I have the studio set up, which is really going to be a lot different show than what we've been doing, and different sets and a lot of different cameras and different graphics and all sorts of stuff. You want to make everything as easy as possible, and especially if you're someone like me that just not I'm not a tech person, so while I run websites, while I have all sorts of tech equipment, I'm certainly not a tech person. I'm the guy who has this bag of parts, after you put something together and says, what the hell, where was this supposed to go, So you just want to keep it as easy as possible. But there's a lot of good things out there. vMix is super popular if you have a PC. To me, that's the one. And I would consider switching to PC just for, to have a dedicated PC. And that would be my next step in the studio, is to have a dedicated PC just for doing shows and to have vMix on it to do the shows. But there's OBS is a popular one. There's tons of them out there. BeLive is a less expensive solution to do, I think. But BeLive, I think, is just on Facebook and YouTube. But those are some of them. Aaron, what time is the show? Our show is always, this time of year, we're always at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And the other time of year is we're at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But, yeah, that pretty much covers it. Seth Piquet, I've watched you for 3. I've been on for 13. That's cool, though. It's so weird. It's like I have people that have been watching me for 5 minutes, and I have people that have been watching me for 10 years. And it's like, it's always cool. And then it's like, when I had the whole thing with Sports Chat and Pick Dogs, like with Sports Chat, when I left, and I was fired from my own company. That's a whole nother story. But, when I was at Sports Chat and then I left Sports Chat and then I started Pick Dogs, there was all these people like, I found you. And people were like, how did you get to, 1.7 million views a month so fast? It's because people found me, and I made myself findable out there. It's one thing I'm good at. And, the other thing is, then there's still people that never even found Pick Dogs, and just only know me from Sports Chat. And they're like, oh, we're so glad you're back. It's like, I was at Pick Dogs the whole time, but you didn't find me, but that's okay. You found me now. So, and we're going to continue to do that. So here's where I'm at with this stuff. What's your opinion on sites like Bovada and other online gaming sites? Do you recommend them? I would say at this point, the ones that have been in business for a while, there's nothing wrong with them. The other ones that are the fly-by-nights that you've never heard of, I would avoid. But, Bovada's been around for a long time. And, not every... before I was kind of like, oh, U.S., only U.S. backed ones, only U.S. And I am licensed, and they're probably not going to like that I say this, But the process in the United States of the legal through the legalization of sports betting being on a state by state basis has been pathetically slow. Not just slow, pathetically slow. We're 2 years in at this point. It's hard to believe, but sports betting has been legal now in the United States for 2 years. 2 years. July will be 2 years. There's 3 states that I can advertise online sports betting in. 3 out of 50. And there's only a handful of states where sports betting is even legal. So, they don't want you advertising for the offshore sports books and stuff like that. Well, then get your shit together, And do something. We're not to expect people to have to sit around and wait because you guys can't, because it takes you guys, 3 days to eat lunch is a ridiculous request. Spread knowledge is not my product. I just use it and endorse it. But anyways, that's all the questions that I see for today. So that is good. But let's get to let's get to these Sims games. Indiana is I don't know. You send in the paperwork and you just don't know. But let's take a look at these Sim games and see what they are. So I know Chris put a post up here. You guys know I don't really pick these. I kind of just flip a coin. So Houston Texans, we missed that one. Carolina versus, I don't even know where my pennies are. Normally on these sim games, I just flip a coin. We'll do this one. Heads, tails. So we got Carolina -3 versus Tampa Bay. Carolina. And then we got Minnesota versus Chicago. Chicago. As you can see, these simulated games I really care a lot about. I just do it because you guys do. Patriots versus Colts. Patriots. The home team is always heads. And Ravens versus Broncos. Ravens. All right. That wraps up today's show. Tomorrow I'll be back with the Puck Dogs. We'll just be back on our regular channels. This is Mitch. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you like we do every day. We'll see you tomorrow.